Breaking the Cycle of Poverty, featuring Jay Height, Executive Director of Shepherd Community Center in Indianapolis. My name is Tim Swearens, and I'm your host for these conversations that explore why poverty remains such a persistent problem in the United States. On this episode, Jay discusses a new American Enterprise Institute study that found a sharp decline in the frequency with which Americans interact with their neighbors. Jay, what jumped out at you from this new research on neighbors being neighbors these days? Or not being neighbors,
yeah,
as the case may be.
I think it's a tragic trend that is seen in the lack of connection in our communities. Our 2030 vision here at Shepherd is to re-neighbor the hood, because we don't have neighbors. We live by people. We have those that we wave to, and that's about the extent of it. And so when you have no community, you don't have social capital. And without social capital, this is research comes out of Harvard, then you can't bring about societal change. And Robert Putnam, sociologist there, has written about that.
Yes, yeah. So the researchers found that people who live in lower income neighborhoods, the neighbors who Shepherd serves, are less likely to interact with, seek help from their neighbors. And that's especially a problem, especially sad, because those neighborhoods tend not to have as many resources, and people need each other, right? And so how can we help counteract that pull toward isolation?
Well, I think we have to find places where, and that's why you do ministry with, not ministry to.
Yes.
You have to have that connection. That's how Christ did ministry, was connecting, not living separate. And I think that folks don't trust. And if I don't trust, then I operate much differently. And I think that's where we have this sense of independence. You know, go back to the 70s and 80s and look at the ads we had. We had the Marlboro Man, you know, these heroes who were do-it-yourself, have it your way. Mm-hmm. All of these marketing jingles that played to this idea, it's all about me. And all about me is a very lonely place to live.
Yeah, let's explore that idea of ministry with instead of ministry to. What does that mean?
Well, actually here at Shepherd, every May, we've had the Day of Engagement, where we ask our neighbors, we ask the families in our programs to come and do a service day with us in the community as well as on our own properties, but saying you have something to give. This is the ability you have to help us. And one of the privileges that my wife Jane and I have is we deliver food once a week. In talking to folks, we have one who we take extra to her because she's going to prepare it and take it to folks in the neighborhood who maybe couldn't know how to cook it or put the package of food together for them. And that's a powerful thing of saying to the neighbors, you have something to give.
And a lot of times I know when you're dropping off that food, it's not just knock on the door, hand the food, and leave. You're engaging in conversations.
Lots of conversations and learning about life. And for many folks, it may be the only time for months that they hear their name said. It may be the only time that anyone listens to them. And so we want to create that connection, and in that connection comes a very powerful bond.
Yeah. Now, a bit of good news, the AEI survey found that people who regularly attend worship services are more likely to build relationships with their neighbors. What encouragement, perhaps admonishment, would you give to fellow believers about being good neighbors?
Well, 37% of Americans know who their neighbors are. That is, the people live on either side, person behind them, and person across the street. Most of us don't know those names, and we need to walk across the yard, talk to them, not just wave at them. You know, one of the things that Putnam has written about is there was something that happened in the 60s and 70s that dramatically changed America. And so the home that I grew up in Dayton, Ohio, 240 West Norman, we had a front porch, and we would play on that front porch and play up and down the street. As I've said before, I was spanked by every mom on that block, and it was usually my brother's fault. But we knew everyone. And if someone on the street was sick, mom would make extra food, we'd take it over. And those types of things is how we lived. And then in the evening after dinner, my parents were out on the front porch, and they'd have neighbors over to sit on the front porch. But something changed. And the architecture of America changed. And so that front porch moved to the back. And what was it surrounded by? Privacy fence.
Yes.
So now we're no longer seeing anybody. We want to be left alone. The windows that were open, and when Mom would do the dishes, and across the driveway was Mrs. Amos, and the kitchens were actually designed to face each other, and they would talk while they did dishes after dinner. Those windows shut because of central air.
Yeah.
So now we were no longer talking to each other. And then something else happened, and that was Dad would come home from work, park in the driveway. Mr. Amos, next door neighbor, who was also, he delivered mail. They would get out of their cars in the driveway and talk. Then they'd go in.
Right.
But what did we invent? The garage door opener. And so now there's no opportunities because I pull into the garage, I shut the door, it closes, I get out and I walk in and I'm never out. And the only time I'm outside is if I'm out back with my privacy fence on my porch. Our architecture changed to this very much, it's about me and what I want, and no longer part of a community, a part of a neighborhood. And I think we've lost so much for that.
Our technology also changed. Our technology keeps us in the house, keeps us in front of a screen, and we supposedly interact on social media, but it's certainly not face-to-face, and it's certainly not building relationship.
No, I mean, Tim, you and I, about the same age, there were cartoons on from about 4 to 5:30 or somewhere in there. After school, you would have a couple cartoons. There would be some local programming for kids. And then Saturday morning.
Yeah.
And it would be on for a couple of hours. And that was it for the week.
Yes.
You know, I tell folks, I'm so old, I remember when Rudolph was only aired one time. And it was usually on Wednesday nights when we were supposed to be at church.
And you were either there and you saw it, or you didn't
That's
for another
right,
year.
That's right. There was, and so there was no desire to stay in. We'd get up in the morning, eat our cereal out the front door, off the porch, played up and down the street, come in at lunch. You were outside, and we just lost that.
Yeah. So all of this means that we're not likely just to drift into relationships, any kind of relationships, particularly with our neighbors. What do we need to do? How do we fight that pull toward isolation?
Walk across the yard. Take a pie next door. If you don't know them, introduce yourself. And someone's going to say, well, you know, they've lived there for a few years and I'm embarrassed. Okay, be embarrassed. Go over and say, you know what? I know this is bad of me, but what's your name? And what if we shared resources? What if we said, hey, I've got this. You need a rake? I've got a rake. Just go ahead and borrow it. We had, I think back to growing up there in Dayton, Ohio, dads shared tools and there was no doggy daycare when I grew up.
Yeah.
If you went on vacation, you didn't take them to doggy spa. Your neighbors would let them out for you. They would get the mail for you. And,
Right.
and when you came home, you know, the dogs were glad to see you, but they'd been taken care of by the neighbors. Yes. And we didn't have security systems. We had neighbors.
And I would take that one step farther. It's like, not only go seek out your neighbors, but when you have an opportunity like to interact, slow down, right? I mean, we're so busy, we're so programmed. It's like, you know, the wave may be all that we think we can give, but if we stop for a few minutes and engage in a conversation that's impromptu, that might be worth a lot.
Yes, and Jesus did ministry at 3 miles an hour.
Yes.
That's how fast he walked. That's our average speed. We try to do it at 55. We're barreling through life, and I think that many folks in the church are going to be convicted of the fact that they were so busy doing ministry they didn't have time to minister. I like it. Slow down.
Yeah. What role does the church have in helping neighbors become better neighbors?
Well, we should want to connect for the hope that is within us and to share that. We don't have to say you got to be a Christian to be my neighbor, but I want you to know, I don't want you to be surprised that the hope I have in me. I hope you see a life different, but I also want to share Christ's love to my neighbors.
Yeah.
Something about loving your neighbors.
Well, I was just going to mention that. Yeah,
Yeah.
a part of loving our neighbors might be getting to know them, right?
Right.
Yeah. What final thoughts do you want to share on being a good neighbor?
Walk across the yard, take a pie, sit down and listen. Invite them over to your deck and,
Yes.
and open up the privacy fence and say, I want to live in where I know people's names.
Yes. Thank you, Jay. For 31 years, Shepherd Community has made a lasting difference in the lives of thousands and thousands of neighbors. The Shepherd team couldn't do that work without the support of donors, partners, and volunteers. To learn more about how you can help, please visit shepherdcommunity.org. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.